E41 Marketplace Ministries. It's all about your business, and it's all about our Father's business. It's ministry outside the box. No matter what your role is in the business world, E41 Ministries is a special place where we can walk worthy of the vocation wherewith we are called, just as Ephesians 4:1 commands us. In today's busy and frenetic world, it's a blessing to know that God has a plan to bring hope, comfort, and peace through Marketplace Ministry. The E41 Marketplace Ministry of the Fellowship. It's a kingdom-building business. I'm Kerry Fink with E41 TV. Thank you for joining us. E41 TV is part of the E41 Ministries, or more specifically, the E41 Marketplace Ministries. And that's an outreach of the fellowship here in Dallas, Texas. And E41 Marketplace Ministries is all about empowering people to spread the gospel in the workplace and to find a way to kingdom build as we're going about our daily business. So E41, of course, comes from Ephesians 4:1, which is walk worthy in the vocation to where you're called. And Dr. Dave Robinson, who's the founder of E41, is a lifelong coach, mentor. He really has helped not only businesses, but in particular ministries all over the world. He travels 250 days a year, and he's coaching and mentoring and developing leaders. And one of the things that came near and dear to his heart was to find a way to help leaders really empower the people who are coming to churches to further the gospel. In other words, people come to the church on Sunday to learn and to walk further with the Lord. But we want to complete this cycle. We want to have those same people who are getting the skills, getting the tools, now being able to go and even take the gospel back into the marketplace. And even the statistics that get quoted, depending on who you ask, it's something like 1 in 5 persons in America actually attends church regularly, but virtually everybody is in the marketplace. They're either working in the marketplace, they're participating, they're shopping in the marketplace, they're in the education field, they're in the government field. So this is where people are interacting, and we want to be effective for Christ in those areas as well. So to that end, we're on location here in Mesquite, Texas, and this is a beautiful area, just really part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and we're in the lovely facility of the Family Cathedral in Mesquite, Texas, and we're actually all here on the occasion of the E41 Marketplace Ministries Conference that's going on here this week. And Dr. Dave Robinson is here. He's been ministering and teaching for the past couple of days. In fact, there's a session coming up this evening. But one of the things we've been doing is we've been asking some people who have been here to come and share with us a little bit about their own experience in marketplace ministry, as well as what they're picking up and gaining from the conference that hopefully will be helpful to them as they continue to share the good news of Jesus as they go through their daily life. So sitting with me today is a wonderful, inspirational gentleman by the name of Jim Austin. Jim is the CEO, president, owner of a couple of very important companies, ASAP Pest Control and A Total Home Inspection, all right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we were talking about that this has really been a lifelong journey for you of being involved in all this. But yes, you were telling me a little bit about your background, and it's very inspirational just by itself. So let me start by asking you to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your life story.
You already know my name, so I'll just start with my life story. I grew up in the state of Maine, and I quit high school when I was 16 years old. My mom and dad was having a hard time because of finances and everything, so I went to work in a shoe factory, and I made pretty good money doing piecework, and I was able to pay mom and dad $50 every week for 4 years while I was still at home. Then I went into service when I was 19. I met a very beautiful girl. I got sent to Texas, met a very beautiful girl when she was 15. We got married when she was 16. It's been almost 54 years now, and I've been so blessed. When I got discharged from the service in 1965, my discharge papers have got on it that I would never amount to anything because I couldn't read. And that bothered me a little bit, so I wanted to take care of my wife, so I just started physically working. And I've worked hard all my life, but I've been blessed by it. Anyway, as I worked and what got around, I never drawed unemployment in my life. When I get out of a job, I immediately go to work somewhere else. And I met a man from Southwestern Assembly of God named Garland Baker, and he started witnessing to me. And so I couldn't refuse him and not going to church. I told him that I would go to church on Sunday morning with him, and I told my wife about it, and she kind of laughed. She said, I know about them people. Don't expect me to go to the altar. But anyway, when they got done preaching, it was a wonderful service. I've never heard the word put out like this, and my wife and I, we both went to the altar, and we both got saved. And she had been saved previously, but I really got saved because I didn't know what it was to receive God until at this moment from the words that I heard from the evangelist that was there that morning. And we went to the altar. They prayed for us. I accepted Christ as my Savior. And when I got done crying, praying, I had never felt like this before, like I did at this moment. And I looked up, and there was the most beautiful woman there at the altar with me, and that was my wife. That was the first time in my life I really knew what love was, because love comes from Christ. And when he comes into your life, that's what you pick up. And so I was going home and with her, and I got home, and I looked at her, and I says, man, I said, I can't read the Bible. I says, I wanted to read it because I was inspired from what God had done, but I was told that I could never read. I would never read. I would never amount to anything. But anyway, I looked at the Bible sitting on my stand, and I looked at my wife, and then I reached down and picked up the Bible, and I sat there, and I opened it up, and my heart almost came out of my chest. I'm looking at it, and I said, I'm reading. And when the government told me I would never read and I would never amount to much, but Jesus made the difference. He changed my life. He turned my life around. Like I said, I quit high school at 16. I have to get about, for each one of my businesses, I have to get 34 hours of continuing education every year. But the government says you'll never amount to anything. You can't read. But I have 2 businesses, and I have to take these lessons, and I probably have enough education right now. If I wanted to push it, I could get my bachelor's, but I'm 73 years old. I don't need to go there. I don't have to prove anything to anybody because God knows who I am. He knows what I stand for. And God has blessed me so much all these years. I don't deserve what he's given me. But you know what? All Jesus did was he loved me and he died for me. He gave me his best. God gave me his best when he gave me Jesus. And you know what? Today, all God expects of me for today, this day right here, not yesterday, not tomorrow, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. All he did was give him my best for this day because he gave me his best, and I have to give him my best today and live for him today and do what it is that he wants me to do. Treat people the way he wants me to treat them. Love like he loves. And is it possible? Yes. Yes, it is. Very possible.
It's fascinating to hear your life story, and it's really proof once again it doesn't matter where you start. It matters where you finish. Now, my question that I want to ask you in the context of E41 Marketplace Ministries is, if you today, with all that you know now, would be able to go back and to talk to that 19-year-old yourself, what would you counsel? What would you advise that person if you met that 19-year-old version of yourself in the marketplace? What would you say to him?
The most important thing is I would ask myself, what do I expect out of life? Back then, it was all about having fun, and I didn't know what I expected. But because of who I am today, I wish somebody had come into my life and talked to me and says, what is your directions? What are your plans? Because I didn't have no plans, not till after I met Jesus. Mm-hmm. Did my plans change? I like sports. I like outdoors. I could have been a ball player. I was a pitcher in high school. And like I said, I dropped out of high school to help my mom out, and I could have gone and been a pitcher in the pros. I ruined my life there. No, I take that back. My mom and dad needed help at that time, and that's where I was. And I think because God let me have a season that I didn't serve him, he was teaching me things back then. Even though I wasn't dealing with him, he was still dealing with me. He was letting me get down some roads so that I would learn things.
Absolutely.
And now, would I go down those roads today as a person? Would I want my kids going down that road? No. Was I real bad? No. But I wasn't a Christian.
Right. So let's tackle it from where we are today, which is, you told me one of the things that you really enjoy about the work that you do is the opportunity to go into people's homes, and it really often gives you an opportunity to minister to them. That is really the definition of marketplace ministry when you talk about it. Could you explain a little bit farther, maybe for somebody who doesn't? I know you're doing the home inspections, and you're also working with them on pest control and various things, but how do you use that as an opportunity to present Christ?
Well, when I used to work for other people, they always told me I couldn't talk about God. And after I got saved, I became supervisors in places, sheet metal and welding shops. And they told me they found out that I had given my life to God. And they says, don't talk about God. And I would go to work every morning, and people would look at me that I would work with, and they said, Jim, why do you always have a smile on your face? And all I could tell them, I've got a reason to smile. If you want to talk about it, see me later. And then I got up to the position where I wanted to be going to business for myself, which God allowed that to happen in the older age. And I'm so blessed by that. I get to visit people in their homes. And on a good month, I can go into 100 homes on a good month. And I even talked to people in church. They asked me what I do about my business. I said, first off, these businesses don't belong to me. They belong to God. I'm just taking care of them while I'm here. And when I go into these homes, I go into homes that my pastor can't go in. I go into homes that other pastors don't go in. And I get to talk to people on their turf about who God is. Every house I go into, if it's a new customer, one way or another, I talk a little bit about God, and if they pick up on it, and I will stay there for an hour and witness to them and talk to them. To me, that's what's important, because I'm nobody. The one that lives in here is somebody, and he makes me more important in life than I would have been if I'd have tried to do my own thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I just can't imagine going into a house and not being able to talk to God. And everybody asks me, Jim, how can you go into someone's house and talk about God? And I says, because I can do it. And I said, this is my business. It doesn't belong to somebody else, just God. And because he gave them to me, I have a right to talk about him. In fact, I do a lot of Muslim people. Muslim people are very sweet people. I done this one lady here in Mesquite. And I took my wife over to meet her, and she started loving us. She started calling us all the time to come to her house. And within 6 or 8 months, I heard her talking about Jesus.
Well, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting dynamic, because if you think about it, so many people in our politically correct society, they pick up things along the way that they're not even really sure that it's the answer that they need. It's just something that somebody might have explained to them could be important or something like that. And yet the real answer, of course, is Jesus. And what you're actually doing is you're having an opportunity to present, maybe for the first time, to somebody who's never really been told the gospel story.
That's right. And there's so many people in this world that's heard about Jesus, but never has been told what Jesus can do for them and how he can change their life and what he can, how he can help them grow. Without Jesus, I was nothing. But with Jesus, I'm something because I'm his son. And because he loved me and he died for me, now I can be his mouthpiece and be a witness for him and tell people what Jesus can do for them.
Yeah, and one of the things we're here, as we talked about at the beginning, we're here for E41 Marketplace Ministries Conference, and Dr. Dave Robinson has been, he's really traveled the globe, if you will, sharing his heart about this idea of really getting people in the church activated. So they're not only they're coming in to learn from the pastor and to get good Bible education and to get strengthened in the Word, but also to now take that back into the marketplace. What have you picked up or what has been helpful to you from some of the things that you've experienced already this week? Does it resonate? I mean, you've been doing this your whole life, but I mean, what is your reaction?
Even though I have been a Christian all my life, and I read the Bible every morning before I do anything.
Right.
I'll make coffee. My wife is still in bed, and I'll go out in the living room and I'll sit down and I'll get my coffee and I'm sitting there and I'll read the Bible, try to read a chapter or two in the Bible every morning before my wife gets up.
Good.
And he spoke on things that I have already read, and I did not see them in the way that he spoke about them. But after he spoke about them, I'm sitting there, wow, I have never heard the scriptures spoke to about this and how simple it is to understand what it is that God wants us to do.
Yeah, Dave has first of all, Dave has a gift, I believe, for sharing that kind of imparting that kind of viewpoint, and it comes from because as a very successful businessman in his own right, having worked all that, but also as a deeply committed pastor for all his years, he really kind of represents both aspects of that, and it's fascinating because even watching the group here, who's really studying this and taking notes and writing down and following along, that they're really now, it seems to me, resonating that they're becoming empowered in a way that they're going to be able to go out into the marketplace and feel like they're not a lone gun. It's I'm here, I'm talking Jesus, but there's other people doing the same thing. I
had a question, I think it was last night when he was talking, and God put this in my mind. I know he did. And my question was, why is he teaching such in-depth stuff when we know that Christ is coming back very soon? Why do we now at this age need to learn this? And God spoke to me right after I started thinking that, because I said, maybe I ought to ask that question. And God says, because while you're here, I want you to give me your best. And if you don't make it till tomorrow, you still learn tonight. But if you make it tomorrow, you've got tools to work with tomorrow. If you make it the next day, because all God promised us is today.
Right.
Yesterday's gone, never to be heard from again. Tomorrow, you don't have that. All you've got is the promise of today. And God wants us to give him our best today, so he wants us to keep learning no matter what our age is, no matter how young we are or how old we are. If we get too old to learn, then we're in the grave. That's what I look at.
Well, and I think it's also a question of sharing, isn't it? Because what you're doing is, I try to remember if it was Pastor Harry or somebody had made the thing, it's like a beggar showing another beggar where the bread is. And isn't that really also part of what E41 Marketplace Ministries is, that you're getting an opportunity to share what the Lord has done in your life with people, because it gives them a hope and an inspiration and a direction.
And I don't know if I should save this, being on this for other people to hear, but my God, I'm out working for people, and I go into some homes that are, the people don't have much.
Sure.
Some homes. And I make my living by doing this, and I keep my prices down. I don't charge what everybody else is charged, because I know God takes care of me. And I go into some homes and get ready to do my paperwork when I get down, and God says, the bill has been paid. Put on it paid in full. Don't charge them.
Wow.
And several times on both of my business. And so this is the only job I had for that week. And I says, okay. I told the lady that the people, I says, and I talked to him a little bit. I says, first off, I'm a Christian. And I says, God just told me this bill was paid. And I signed it, made them sign it, and I give them their copies. And they didn't want to talk too much, so I went out and I went home. I had 7 or 8 jobs the next day.
Well,
that's what God does. He gives.
Amen.
If you give a little, He gives a lot.
It never costs to give in God's economy.
That's it.
It's always where the blessings come from.
You know, and so over the years, I have said, I'm going to see if I can outgive God. I mean, I have given more than what my tithes are supposed to be and everything else. And I've given people money. I don't have no money in the bank because I give it away.
Sure.
You know, that's what God told me to do. He says the money's not doing you no good there,
right.
So help somebody with it. So my wife and I do that.
Sure.
And so we give what we have away. And then I am so blessed because my wife said to me one day, she said, Jim, I don't know what we're going to do this week. We don't have no money coming in. We don't have no money. And we're got $500 behind this week on paying our bills. And then at the end of the week, we still had $500 left after paying all our bills.
The guy can work that stuff out.
And that's what he does. And it's not because of who I am, but it's because of who he is.
And that's what's so important about what you do, because you're sharing that.
Yes.
You're sharing that experience with people who don't know the Lord. And so tell me a little bit about here at the church, you serve literally as a greeter. You're welcoming the people as they come in.
Yeah.
And that sort of fits with your personality and your whole approach of taking an interest. What do you think? I don't gather that you go in and you start preaching at people.
No, I won't do that because I don't like to be preached at when I'm away from here. I like to talk about God. I like to talk about Jesus. I like to have people ask me, well, what has Jesus done for you?
Sure.
And then I've got all of these testimonies.
Now you've got the open door.
He's taken me off my deathbed. He's made it possible for me to read and further my future and take care of my wife and my kids and everything. That's what he has done for me. And I want to talk about him just about like I'm talking to you.
Sure.
Because God is so good. And I don't know of anything else in this world that can compare to what God has done in my life.
There isn't anything.
I mean, he gave me a beautiful wife, and she put up with me because I'm not perfect.
Sure.
All of these years, almost 54 years. And I'm so blessed because of that. But I'm more blessed because of what God has done in my life after I knelt down at the altar and said, God, here I am. Use me. Do what you want with my life. And every day, every morning when I wake up, before I put my feet on the floor, I'll swing up. My feet don't quite touch the floor from how high our bed is. And I said, Lord, thank you for giving me another day that I can live for you.
Absolutely.
Put my feet on the path you want me to follow for this day. Open the doors you want me to go through and give me the words you want me to say.
Yes.
And I'll do my best to serve you this day. But yet, even at the end of the day, I feel like that I have let God down and I have to ask him to forgive me because I want to do so much, but you can only do so much.
Well, what advice would you have to other people who are now either joining or learning about Marketplace ministry? They're like, I like this. It's what I want to do. I want to be about my Father's business. What would you tell them? How would you encourage them as they walk their roles out in their marketplaces?
I think the most important thing we need to do when we're out there is we have to listen to God. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. We have to listen to God, and don't be afraid to talk about who God is. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to tell the world who he is. Mm-hmm. He died for me. Mm-hmm. He wasn't afraid to die for me, even though he lives today. He was not afraid to give up his life so that this little man right here, could have a life and have it more abundantly. That's what God does. He gives us a more abundant life. And I think that all of these people who are in business need not be embarrassed about talking to God, need to put God first in everything that they do, give their businesses to God, and God will take care of them. I'm not a huge business. I set up my son in business. He's got 3 or 4 customers north of us here. Mm-hmm. I have 400 or 500 customers. Then I have my home inspection. I'm 73 years old. I still work every day because God gives me the ability and a desire to do for him what he wants me to do. If I probably wouldn't be here if I had not given my life to God. My life would probably been over a long time ago. But because I gave my life to God, He's got something for me to do. And when He's done with me, He'll take me home.
Oh, no, there's no question about it. But this is such an important time in our, I would say, in the history, because there's such an opportunity now with people reaching people in the marketplace where there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of things that are coming against people. And what you're really doing is you're providing really a breath of life for them when you are in there and you're able to bring Jesus to them. You know, we talk about the fact that you can't really say Jesus in a school because somehow it's going to offend somebody.
Or read your Bible.
Yeah, or read your Bible or things like that. So for many people, the first time that they meet you could be the first time they meet Jesus.
And you know that goes the way the world is today. You could walk down the street today and someone pull out a gun and shoot you right there. That's the way the devil is working today in this old world. But I walk down that same street. I don't pull out a gun. I don't pull out my Bible. I give them my heart. Mm-hmm. I don't say what's in my mind because my mind, I make mistakes with my mind.
Sure.
But if I use my heart, because that's where Jesus is, if I use that, then I can tell them the promises that He has for them and the kind of life that He can give them if they but receive Him for their Savior.
It's an excellent testimony. It's an excellent story. It's an excellent way to encourage people to be. We're going to, this evening, we're going to have another presentation from Dr. Dave Robinson. And, you know, I was telling somebody earlier, here we are at the first annual E41 Marketplace Ministries Conference. And I think when we do this time next year, it's going to be phenomenal to see how much has grown and transpired from this, because now everybody here in this location is really getting on board, is resonating, it's moving them forward on their destiny to really make an impact for Christ in the marketplace.
Yeah. And you know, I've enjoyed what's been going on. And if God is willing and you're back here next year and He doesn't take all of us that belong to Him out of this world, then I am willing to serve Him this next year in any way, any form, any fashion that He wants me to. And I will not quit because I am not a quitter.
That's right.
I will be there until He says, Jim, it's time. And I think I will know when it's time because of my work. I know He's not done with me yet. Yes. Because there's so much going on out there. And as long as there's one person who does not know Jesus Christ in this North Texas district, then my work will never be done.
I agree with that completely. And thank you for doing the good work and keep doing the good work. It's an inspiration to many. And thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm Kerry Fink for E41 TV. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in the marketplace. God bless you.